This is the first episode of Beneath the Cowl. It will be available on all major podcast platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now, we're here to talk about the movie Wakanda Forever. And I got some very special guests here, some amazing cosplayers. I am Cosplays by Shinobi, aka Chris, and I'll let everyone introduce themselves.
I'm Kai, Kaiish Black on Instagram. You can also find me at hashtag KBlackCosplay.
I'm Namor Cosplay. I just go by Namor. Just on everything else. So, yeah.
And I'm Mighty Morphin Cosplay. That's me on Instagram and Facebook, but also known as Pilar.
And we're waiting for the Black Panther himself, Vibranium Cosplay, but he's having some technical difficulties, so hopefully he is able to join us before we end this discussion. So, the movie, what are your thoughts? What did you think about it?
Well, I'll go first. I had very high expectations for Namor. For those who don't know, I'm a big Namor fan. I've been a fan of him reading his comics for most of my life. And little irony is, so well before when the rumors first started coming about that he was going to be in the Black Panther film. This is before Tenoch or anything was cast or anything. The Namor fandom itself, we were all kind of very pissed off because we were like, he's not a Black Panther villain. Everything's because of the Phoenix Force. This shouldn't be happening. But then after the movie, the whole fandom, we were just like, this is fucking amazing. They really got Namor down to a T. So I was very, very happy with how they handled it. So we were very proven wrong, which is great.
So I'll be honest. I mean, we all assumed that with Endgame when they talked about underwater earthquakes. Everyone's like, oh, they're definitely gonna bring Namor in here, but we didn't know how to do it. But I think you were the first Namor cosplay I actually ever seen. And I reached out to you. I was like, I really hope you're going to the premiere because I kept seeing your cosplays. I'm like, dude, you were definitely like the Namor representative to me that I kept seeing all over.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been cosplaying Namor for about 2 years, which is great. I met 9 different Namor cosplays, so I'm just racking up like Infinity Stones at this point. But it's all from a place of love for this character, mostly just in the comics and now the movie. So I'm just very happy that now that there's Mighty Morphin, that because it really was only me for about 2 years when I first started. It was only me doing him, which is kind of sad because he's such a great character. Now it's exploded, and it's so exciting to see other people doing him. So yeah.
To add on to that, I'll admit I didn't really know much about Namor at all. I knew of him, but I didn't really know much about his background or anything. And I had really high expectations when I found out that they were casting Tenoch, which is a Mexican actor, and they were going to go with, they were going to use Latin heritage to create his world. And me as a Mexican, waiting for that Latin representation in the Marvel, a good, powerful Latin representation in the Marvel movies. That was my expectation. I was like, they better do this right. They better do this proudly. And now I am a huge Namor fan because of how well they did it. And Namor is just amazing in that. And now I'm going to start reading his comic books because now I just want to learn all about him. So I'm glad that they brought Namor out to the spotlight.
Yeah. Silver Age. Anyone needs recommendations? Silver Age Namor is the best Namor. So
that's Namor comics. I'm gonna have to get on top of that. But to backdoor on what she said, I wasn't super familiar with Namor before the movie. I think walking into this movie due to the death of Chadwick, they walked into this thing with a huge weight on their shoulders, high expectations because the first movie did so well, and I think they executed the sequel tremendously, especially considering all the challenges they had walking into this. And then Marvel is spectacular at bringing characters that most people would not even consider or be familiar with, and bringing them alive and forcing you to love them. Of course, I'm Team Wakanda, but I'm like, shoot, I'm I'm on Neymar's side too. I was rooting for him in the movie. So Marvel does a spectacular job when it comes to casting, when it comes to their execution, and I think they did amazing. I know I heard back and forth. Everybody has an opinion, but when it all boils down, they had to keep a story alive when its main character, the movie was literally called Black Panther, when its main character unfortunately passed. And I think they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And similar to, I think we can actually hear you. Similar to Namor cosplay. My first cosplay was Black Panther, also. Um, and the representation meant a lot for me. The character meant a lot for me, and how the movie started, it was just so emotional, right? I was like, oh, they're really gonna hit us just like this right off the bat, and they did. But I felt like it felt almost kind of personal, and I felt like it also gave us, the fans, a chance to kind of grieve as well. You know what I mean? It's kind of our goodbye to Chadwick as well, and I really appreciate how well that was executed.
Vibranium needs to know the question.
Oh, can you guys hear me? That's
We can.
Yes,
Yes.
hooray! All right.
welcome.
Thank
So
you.
we're talking about the movie. What are some of your thoughts? And we saw it for the first time together, actually.
Mhm.
Um, what are your thoughts on the movie?
What are my thoughts on the movie? Well, I think I was really excited when I saw the trailer, and I kind of wanted to see what they were going to do, and I knew they had a lot of expectations about sort of dealing with the real world death of Chadwick, trying to change the movie to take it in a new direction and merge those two. So I know there's a lot of pressure, and it probably would have been easy to fail to go in too many directions, but I think overall, when I saw it, I thought it was put together very well, and I really enjoyed the whole thing. And I felt like I got more out of it watching it a second time, where I could kind of see some of the themes that were going through the movie. So the first thing that jumped out at me was the scene in Haiti when Ramonda goes to visit Nakia, the kid who was there who was actually walking over. I was like, oh, that's that kid. And there's a lot of stuff like that. The second time I watched it, this just jumped out at me. You hear people saying common themes, like you hear Killmonger say some stuff that Namor said and things like that. So you're like, oh, okay. And then I kind of noticed even with Shuri's Black Panther, it's got a mix of gold and black. It kind of makes sense because she's got a bit of anger, so it's a little bit of Killmonger, a little bit of T'Challa. So things like that jumped out at me.
I'd also like to add that the second viewing was a lot better because I know that Namor lived. So
Yeah.
I was very stressed out, and I was just watching all my hopes and dreams just shatter in front of me.
Yeah.
That was one of my issues with Killmonger, them killing him after one movie, and I did not want to see Namor go down that way either. I'm glad that he survived.
Yeah, and them bringing back Killmonger as well, I think was
Yeah.
That worked well, actually. It did.
it was such an amazing touch, especially with him being a fan favorite from the first movie, and then like you said, disappointed that they killed him off after one movie, and such a huge role he played in the first movie, and I definitely was excited to see him come back. When I saw it, the whole theater erupted, and I almost jumped out of my seat personally. So um, every time I go see these movies, I'm like trying to bottle up everything and like not let too much come out because I'm definitely the person in the back row screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm either screaming, I'm either crying, I'm either like twitching, like because I'm like feeling like I'm fighting with them during the movie. So many emotions. And this movie definitely took me out when it came emotionally.
I
For sure.
mean, they executed, in my opinion, well on the emotional front, right? Think about Queen Ramonda.
Was not expecting that.
Her scenes were very emotional. Pretty much the majority of her scenes were emotional, right? I mean, her and Okoye, that whole, at least you can visit
Oh,
your
yeah.
husband in
Yeah.
jail. Mine is with the ancestors.
Oh, the scene where she got fired.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
No,
like
no, no.
really
You know
the
what's funny
line,
about that?
have I not given enough? Oh, whew.
Yeah. it was interesting to hear her perspective, just to see how she felt about like the events of the movie beforehand. Because from Okoye's perspective, she's like, "Oh, I'm doing a good job," but from her perspective, she's like, "Look at all these people that I love that are dead."
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to really give props to the movie was for tackling the subject of grief, because it's a very hard subject. And I know I was really nervous to go see the movie because I lost my dad to cancer a year ago, and that's how we lost Chadwick. And I was afraid of what they were going to show us, how they were going to talk about his death. And they did it in such a beautiful, respective way, and they talk how they tackled grief with all his family members. Like, I don't know, like I didn't feel uncomfortable like I thought I would. I don't even know how to explain it, but I love how they tackled that subject. I don't know, I really appreciated it.
It was interesting to me how they kind of made it similar to real life, because they basically, I think it was something like he had a disease and he didn't tell anybody, and then Shuri was sort of like desperately trying to help him, but it was like too late, and he kind of already had accepted that he was going to pass and already had made plans for what his son was going to do and all that other stuff. So I thought it was nice, and they didn't dwell on it too long, because I felt like I wasn't sure how they're going to do that, and then just right out the gate, they just got right to it. So.
Yeah.
I also liked what this movie did well is there's always like that meme going around that's just like Marvel always has to put a joke after like a heavy moment. And I really liked how Coogler let us sit with the heavier moments. It wasn't just like, here's this big thing and here's like a joke to crack right after. It was like you kind of had to sit there and like bask in like not uncomfortable. It's just like you got to bask in the deep aspects of it. You're not there to hear like a bad joke. It's just like
No.
and when he did, like everyone was silent. Like
That's true.
when he died, and then the Marvel credits roll off, it was like dead silent. Every showing I've been to. So
Yeah, no,
I
he
feel
did
like
great. And speaking on that, I mean, it just reminded me, and this is one of my pet peeves about Marvel movies as well, but the Spider-Man movie, the most recent one, like Aunt May died, and like 2 seconds later, they were like on to the next thing. Like I couldn't even wipe my tear from my eye before like they were jumping through hoops fighting in the next scene. And with this particular movie, like you said, they handled it with care, and they did such an amazing job honoring his memory.
I also think the score was just amazing as well. Complimented everything when when they went to Talicon, that was just so beautiful. When Shuri's like going through, that music was just beautiful, perfect.
Yeah, soundtrack, amazing. Amazing. Every song fit every scenario in the movie. And even songs like the Rihanna song, like to me, that's not one of those songs where it's just like, yeah, you just ride through playing that song. Like, but when you put it in the movie, it was perfect. Like it fit like a puzzle piece with the movie. And it made me appreciate the song so much more. So yeah, I mean, from soundtrack to the way they handled the real life death, the movie death, etc. Like it was handled very, very well. Executed.
The music too. I really just love the siren song. Before. Oh my god!
I totally agree with you. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, that scene was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool. I was like, oh, this is real. They're actually doing the sirens because I don't think there really are sirens in his comics. So I really liked how they kind of took that and implemented that into the movie. It was really, really genius in my opinion.
I really liked that scene because it was kind of creepy because you were like, what's happening? Like, everyone was kind of freaking out, and then the guy like puts in the earplugs. Yeah.
And Tuma comes just.
I know. They're like, oh, we gotta wait, right? The helicopter.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So on that point too is being a longtime Namor fan is there are implications of just like jokes and stuff or things like the ankle wings, for instance. Sometimes people will talk down on those or like make funny jokes, but I very much appreciated how they turned them into a threat. And they were badass. No one was like making fun of his goofy little wings on his ankles, and I like the whoever did like the sound mixing said that the sound was like rattlesnakes when like, they're fluttering. I was like, this is so cool. They were like the cool shots as he's flying through the air and fighting, and like they really just put an emphasis on it as a threat and not a joke. So I really appreciated that as a fan. So
Oh yeah, nobody was messing with Namor. Let's be
no,
clear.
You know,
Nobody.
threat.
and Baku was like, "Oh, at first he was like, no, I would have him in hand." And once he got one punch, he was like, "Okay, we are not gonna kill him. We're not gonna try to kill this guy."
No.
No, he said his. What do you say? One of my favorite quotes in the entire movie is, "People do not call him General or King. They call him Cuckoo Khan, the feather serpent god." And it was like he had developed this respect, and it was like, if we kill him, if we try to kill him, his people will destroy us.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you don't think we have books in the mountains? Like,
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think to speak on that, they humbled. Like Wakanda was humbled by going up against them. And really, if Shuri had not gotten the upper hand, it would have been a very, very, very different story.
He was so bone chilling, and when he said, like, I felt it. I was like, he said, we have more warriors than you have blades of grass. How are you going to defeat that?
Yeah, no.
there
Crazy.
was a
And
moment.
then also they emphasized the fact that Wakanda had never gone up against somebody that had access to vibranium as well. So when you factor in how many warriors they had, and he's been training them their entire life to go against the surface world, and then you add that in lieu of them having access to vibranium, because that technology and vibranium is what makes Wakanda superior. So when you talk about having your villain or your nemesis have access to the same weaponry that you have, game changer.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that they emphasize that because it, you know, it didn't diminish Wakanda's power. It just, like I said, it humbled them. It was like, oh, this is an even opponent.
I think that's good though in movies because sometimes if you have like one side that's overpowered, it's a little bit boring because you know they're gonna win, so you don't really have an investment in the struggle in the fight. You're like, oh, they're gonna win. I don't know how, but somehow they're gonna overcome. Because like sometimes when Superman fights people, you know he's not gonna die.
No,
yeah,
I
right?
was
It's a little
stressed.
bit boring because you're like you're not really afraid for him, but when Batman fights somebody, right? You're like, oh.
No.
So I think it's good.
But we're not going to talk about Superman on this.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm just saying it makes it more interesting when it's a level playing.
And
no, I got you.
When you look at Namor too, is like one of my biggest requirements and why the fandom was upset about him being in the movie when it first got announced way back was we thought he'd make him a one-note villain, just very like mustache swirling, kind of like that. But what they did was they kind of made him like the Silver Age, where it's like he's a protector of his people no matter the cost, and he's very aggressive about it. That's just who he is, and it's fine. Because I liked how he had reason to attack everyone. It wasn't just because I'm going to do it, just because I feel like it. Because one person says like, oh well, he attacked Wakanda. I was like, well, if you think about it though, Shuri was in Wakanda, or was in Talokan, and then Ramonda drew Namor out, and then Shuri escaped, killing 2 of his people. Of course, he's going to be pissed off. Like he showed you his home, and then you go and kill 2 of his people and leave. Like he's going to be pissed off. Like think about
no, I think they wrote his character really well, and he portrayed the emotions, and when he's explaining to Shuri, how his mom, how they ended up where they were, and they introduced the colonizers, and they brought the diseases and all that sort of thing, and which was also cool to see, hear how he got his name, El Nino Cinnamore. Yeah, that was a cool.
That was cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, it was kind of Killmonger-esque, you know what I mean? He's like, I have this goal because the surface world has treated us this way. And I think part of me just wanted to see, Wakanda team up and y'all do the thing. And
I genuinely think that's coming. There's the way they ended it. that's definitely the next piece.
Yes.
Oh
But
well, they were already attacking and looking for vibranium, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and you can already see the U.S. government getting ready to go at Wakanda.
Oh yeah.
I also think that the actor did a really good job of showing the different personalities of Namor, like the like the sweet, like this is my home. I love my people. I'll do anything for them. Let's be friends. I want to show you this beautiful place. But then also like, oh, if you want to be my enemy, this is what you can call me by. And he was just like, you can fear him, but you could also like just respect him because of like I don't know. I just felt like the actor did a really good job with the different parts of his personality.
Yeah, it was very much either you're with me or you're against me.
I love this little comic book callback where Shuri's like, "You're gonna go to war with the entire surface world," and he's like, "Yeah." Like
It's like no big
he
deal.
says it all the time in the comics, like, "I declare war on the surface world," and it's just kind of like comically hilarious that like the entire surface world he's declaring war on, and I liked how they kind of had that little moment where he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna the whole surface world," like so yeah.
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 And what do we think? So, M'Baku, is he the new king of Wakanda? Because Shuri is only going to be the protector, as far as we can tell. She has no interest in being the queen.
I feel like he's the regent in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't want to do it, so he's stepping in to do it until whoever is ready to rule is ready.
Well, if you look too, like they have all the shots of like the different like tribes, and like all of them are looking at him and like in happiness. I guess
And
they're like
agreeing.
glowing. Yeah, they're not like before where they're like, oh shit, M'Baku's here. They're like, we got you. You know.
Yeah.
I think traditional like switch up.
I mean, he's the one that stepped up to protect the entire kingdom when they needed it most. So I don't know, like he's definitely proved to be very wise and just a good leader. So I think everybody finally recognized him for that.
Yeah.
I definitely think he's the new king.
Yeah.
Just the way, I mean, from the way he set up, the way they set up the storyline, all of the leadership positions he was put in, the moment where he said, "Your brother, told me to look out for you," like everything, everything that they did, all the movements and the plays that they made in the movie was setting it all up for him to take it. And I would say, and there was some argument behind this particular movie where it said like the male warriors were kind of like pushed to the background, but he was definitely pushed to the forefront, which is why I feel like he is definitely going to take the mantle. Because if he doesn't, who else is? Like, let's just be real. Like, there was no other male characters that they were pushing forward to take that mantle.
Yeah, it is curious to me because I'm not sure what direction they're going to go in the third movie because it seems to be kind of wide open now. I mean, they have a lot of options, and I think people's expectations have changed because I don't think in the third movie there's going to be an introduction of a new Black Panther, right? Probably not. So it's like, what do you do, like you're saying, with this split? Like, if he's the king and then she's, the Black Panther, or does she decide she doesn't want to do any of this and he's a king and Black Panther, right? Or whatever they might do.
So I saw a video because I watch all of this stuff. They were talking about the only people that can actually become the Black Panther have to be within the bloodline, which is why Shuri was able to take the mantle up. So if that is in fact a true statement, then he wouldn't even be able to take the herb and become the Black Panther.
Yeah, not only that,
offered it to him though. Remember,
she did, but when she did this she used T'Challa's DNA. So I think it's going to have to be someone within their bloodline in order to be able to take this new heart-shaped herb that she created.
I also saw something online too that M'Baku is a different religion than the Panthers.
Oh yeah.
Someone was saying like when people were suggesting M'Baku would take the mantle, I know there's a couple of Black Panther fans who were saying he would have to change his whole religion because he doesn't worship Bast.
I'm gonna be honest. So they typically put 3 years in between the movies. like actually the actual releasing of the movies. I think that his son is going to take the mantle. They're just going to speed things. They're going to catapult things forward. They're going to do like a teenage Black Panther. That's what I could see them doing. I don't know.
How old is that
But,
kid?
huh?
How old is that the guy, the child?
He'd be like 6, right?
6 or
Yeah.
7, yeah.
Oh.
I'd say 6 because it's 2018 was the first film. So,
I'm trying to remember how long they said that that his mom was away from Wakanda.
Mm.
if you also think too, we're technically in
6
the
years,
timeline
I
of
believe.
2023 of the because Thanos' snap put everyone 5 years ahead of 2018. So it's 2023, so maybe 2024. So he's probably 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say 6 or 7. They're gonna put 3 years probably before we even see another movie. That would make him 10. And by that time, you would really be able to depict an older Shuri. You would be able to depict an older characters, and just kind of push his age forward by 5 years, 7 years, whatever the case may be, to make him a teenage Black Panther. But once you take the herb, I mean, does it really matter? Because Shuri ain't nothing but a $1.15 soaking wet. So
Yeah.
that's what I
don't know. I have no idea. It'll be interesting to see, though.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I guess we'll start seeing. I know they have TV shows relating to Wakanda coming out and everything they're working on, and I'm assuming it's gonna correlate to everything that's going on and planning for the future as well.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So, what did you guys think of the final fight scene? And I just want to see how Namor Cosplay felt about the his wings getting ripped off. Because I saw that and I was like, oh.
Are they gonna grow back?
Yeah,
They
that's
always
what
grow back. It's happened many times, so they always grow back. But I felt secondhand pain from that.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Think about my own wings. I was like, damn.
I think I felt the same way when Okoye was fighting on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
And when her head hit that spear, I felt that.
Oh yeah.
There was like an audible gasp in the entire thing. Like, ooh, like.
And then I was scared that she was about to die. Also,
I like the final fight scene because I liked how they didn't make Shuri like this, amazing fighter, because she hadn't been fighting as much. She had the strength and the power, but like she was. I guess when I watched it, it looked like she was kind of getting owned for a bit and was fighting back, but it was more like a very scrappy kind of fight, and it was more about who had more grit, right? So she wasn't just like dominating the whole time. And it, like, when she ripped off his wings, it just kind of showed that you had to kind of fight kind of dirty to win.
First of all, she was getting dominated the whole time. Let's not.
I mean, she won in the end, so I mean, come on.
You're not about to gas Shuri up like she wasn't getting it handed to her. And then she was also fighting somebody she had already weakened substantially.
True.
So yeah, and
but it was his fault for not finishing her off when he impaled her, right? Because he could have finished her then. He like walked away.
I mean, he thought he did.
Yeah.
He thought he did.
You gotta go for the head. We figured that out. He was
just trying to. My guy was just trying to get to the water. He was thirsty. He wasn't thinking about finishing her off. He was just like, I am thirsty and I need to get some water.
Thanos said you got to go for the head, right? Come on.
I kept reading jokes that if Namor just carried a bottle of water around with him, he'd be invincible.
Exactly.
You could just have like a little water bomb, like right at his side, so you can just like explode at anytime you want to.
Look at like one of those beer hats, right?
But no, I need Shuri for the next movie. If they're going to continue this, I need her to put on some weight. I need them to get her on some protein, some squats.
I saw like a couple images, and I feel like they had like added some, in post. There were a couple. It's just like, because I feel like she's thinner than what I saw, and I remember what image it was. I think it was one of the images where she was holding. I was like,
dog.
I feel like they added a little.
movie. And it was just bothering me because I did a podcast and interview on this probably 5 years ago before Chadwick died. And the conversation piece came up about Shuri. And I was like, they need to put her on a diet plan immediately. And they did not. She is a very, very thin woman. And you could see it in the movie. I was like, dang, they could have did a different camera angle or something. They needed to make her look, but no, but I also respect it as well because they kept her true to herself. Like she's the small woman that beat Namor. So I love it. I love it. I had no complaints.
All right, well, let me
From
say one thing to that
Right.
though, because you know how Spider-Man is kind of like small and scrappy, and he does all super powered stuff. He lifts up cars and like holds like two trains together or whatever it is. So like sometimes in these comic books, like the power is not really like what it would be realistic like in the real world. So like everyone has all these powers and abilities, somewhat from the suit and then somewhat from whatever. So that's kind of how I took it. But yeah.
And I see your point. I see your point, but Spider-Man wasn't.
He's cut,
He's
though.
not tiny.
He's
She's
cut.
tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was my only complaint.
One thing I would say though is the first movie she was more like almost like comedic relief. She really had to step up,
Yeah.
do a lot of dramatic acting in this movie, and she nailed it.
Oh, perfectly.
Yeah, she was able to carry it, which is great. So
Yeah.
What did
Yeah,
you
it
think
was
of
hard because-
Riri?
Sorry.
Oh,
So
is
you
that-
realize that these people knew Chadwick in real life, and when they're filming this movie, they're probably getting over real world grief. So you know how people are a lot of times when somebody they know passes away. A lot of people don't fare well, and some people lose weight and whatever. So and then I'm sure they were trying to film this movie under this tight schedule to get everything out after COVID was over, even during COVID. So
I'm gonna answer your question and then I'm going to sign off. Riri Williams, loved her. I've heard mixed reviews about her in regards to a lot of people felt like she was too urban, and I felt like it was perfect. It was executed perfectly because if you put a black person in that scenario, they gonna react exactly the way she did. Like, to me, it was not too urban. It wasn't ghetto. It wasn't anything like that. I think if you place a black person in scenarios like that, she's like, wait a minute, where you going? Like, not, like, we don't do that. Like, every way that she reacted, give me my money. You didn't pay me on time. Now the price just went up. I think they played her position exactly the way it should have been played, and then they also kept the intelligent side of her. They let that shine through as well. How they emphasize how she's been doing this since she was a kid and how smart she is. I think they executed her perfectly. So I loved Riri. I cannot wait to see more from her because I know they're still supposed to be coming out with Ironheart. I'm sorry. Is it Ironheart?
It's Ironheart.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're supposed to be coming out with Ironheart on Disney Plus. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I love Riri. I love the whole movie, guys.
I've seen it 7 times now.
Oh wow,
I've seen it 4 times. Wow.
I am only on 2.
I'm on 2 also.
Yeah.
I saw it like the first 3 times on my own video, like the premiere, and then also just like by myself and another with a friend. But it gets to a point where like I'm a Namor cosplay. My friends know I'm a huge Namor fan who are not in the cosplay.
They want to see it with you.
Yeah, they said, I'm going to see Wakanda forever. You want to come? Well, obviously I'll go. Like I can't say
They
no.
want to see it with you.
Yeah, so
For sure.
I gotta say yes every time. So, and I don't mind it. I love it still each viewing. So
You know what's funny? I haven't seen it with any other cosplayers other than at the premiere. So Kai, if you ever want to see it, I'll go see it with you.
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
And I know you
I
got to
am
run,
very-
Kai.
I am very particular about who I go see Marvel movies with
Uh,
because I went on a date one time and the guy was so judgmental about me crying at the end of the movie, and I was like, never again. So now I'm like, unless you're invested the way that I'm invested, and don't be asking me questions in the theater either. Like I'm not going for a damn Q&A. I don't want to educate you on the backstories if you haven't seen it and you don't know. No, I'm very particular about who who I go see Marvel's movie, I will sit in that theater by myself and cry and laugh and fight, and I don't want no judgment. So we can go see it together.
All right, that's fine. I was trying to make sure I still passed.
All right, guys, it's been wonderful. I gotta sign off, but nice meeting all of y'all. Excuse my Texas accent. I just heard it myself. But I'm signing off. Thank y'all so much. You need anything else from me?
Oh, we're good.
All right, y'all have a
Thanks
great
for having me.
All right.
So was the shock of Toussaint, which was a great name that they used, by the way, also, T'Challa's and Nakia, were you all shocked as I was when they came showing this kid?
When his son was shown, you mean?
Yeah, for the first time.
I'll let somebody answer it.
I saw the kid and I was like, oh, that's probably his son. Because I remember there was rumors about it. And I liked it, though, because I hated all those rumors like, oh, he's going to be a variant. I was like, if he's a variant of T'Challa, then he doesn't have the same emotional connection he does with the characters we already know. It's just like, oh, it's the same face, different person, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of saw it coming, so I wasn't completely shocked, but I still was very excited when they did it.
Yeah.
I was shocked because I didn't hear any of the rumors, and I think I was so caught up in the rest of the movie. I was kind of like trying to. I guess I thought Shuri would try to, somehow come to terms with her brother's death, and maybe she was just going to visit Nakia because she was the last person to kind of interact with him. And then when the kid came up, I was like, oh wow. So I was pretty shocked, and I think it was funny at the premiere. I think the kid was actually there, walking around with all the rest of the stars, but I just assumed he was somebody's kid. So now when I go back and look at all the pictures, I'm like, oh, that guy. Right? So I mean, yeah, I was totally surprised.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that. Now I can't wait for hopefully Namor gets his own movie soon. So
I know there's some
yeah
technical challenges, technical difficulties with
Universals. They got to free him. So, but I hope he does because there's some great stories out there. So I could see Atuma becoming the villain. So
I was waiting for Atuma to do something that would hint at him. I thought he was going to do something malicious in the movie because I'm like, he's supposed to be the villain for Namor, but they didn't really do anything with that. So hopefully they'll, do something with that later on.
Yeah, they kind of made Namor a bit more aggressive in that sense.
What I noticed too. Yeah,
he's more of the cousin, like the best friend. Atuma is more of like the straight up villain. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't really have a hero side.
Yeah, so I was surprised that he didn't. Yeah, I was surprised that Namor was more of the aggressive one than him.
I have like this crazy theory that it's like Namor's gonna kickstart this like doubt on him, and then Atuma's gonna take charge, maybe with the help of like Krang or something, and then Namor's gonna feel bad and then side back with Namor against Atuma. That's just my theory right now, but we'll see.
You never know.
Yeah. But
so, what was your guys' favorite scene in the movie?
Wow.
Or is it? Let's say this top two, just so you don't have to struggle.
I think my favorite, and I'm mad that they didn't show more than like 3 minutes of the shark throne of him descending down into the shark throne. For me, that was and then I'm cool, like, wait, no more of his regal gown or anything. No. I was upset about that.
Yeah. I liked when he attacked Wakanda.
Yeah.
Nothing against Wakanda, but I just loved how.
Come on, man! Look behind me! Look behind me! We're still cleaning up. We're still cleaning up, man.
But I just liked how they made his fight scenes. I thought they made him I just remember sitting in the theater watching him fight and like attack all the ships. And I was like, I feel like I'm watching a comic book. Like I can tell you my favorite shot in the movie is like when Shuri is shooting at Namor underwater and it's like following him as he's swimming and you can see him kicking underwater.
That was beautiful.
I was like, that looks like something out of a panel. So that's my favorite shot. To be very specific.
Yeah.
When you were talking about his wings, I remember the shot in the trailer and in the movie where he's flying towards the camera and then he pivots and you can see his wings really well and then he goes back the other way. Like I was like, damn, that's nice.
It had like a nice movement. It wasn't just like a straight like Icarus or something where it's just he levitates. He like a super jump almost. He's like veering and right.
It's like he was running on, running in the
Yeah.
air almost.
Yeah.
Biology of it works really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
If I had to say my top two, one would be Killmonger because I just wanted to see him, and when he showed up, I was just like, yes. And I figured that would be the only way they could do it, but I even like watching it, I wasn't thinking about it because I was just into the movie. And the other, I'd probably say just the introduction of Talcon. It was just beautiful.
Yes.
It was just amazing visually.
With the music.
Yeah, the music, just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was the scene where Okoye got fired. I thought that was great. You know what I mean? Just the dialogue, the back and forth, and I thought the emotion on her face, like you could just see her, like just it was almost incomprehensible. She's like, "Wait, what do you mean? Like, why can't you let me just go try it one more time?" I thought that was really great. What's my second one? That one's hard. It's probably gonna be something with Suri and Namor, but I can't pin down which one because they had so many like great interactions. But I would say those two struck me the most just because of Angela Bassett's acting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, and then probably third would be the Killmonger scene.
Yeah.
Just because it was so short, but it was so meaningful, right? He came in
powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
And they really like set it up in a sense where you totally expected Ramonda to come out on screen, and how they styled Killmonger's hair to kind of look like Ramonda's crown. So you kind of like, oh, there she is on her throne. And it's like, oh dang.
Yeah.
So speaking of scenes, Namor cosplay. Remember we were sharing the pops that they revealed. I'm so mad that they didn't show Namor riding an orca in the movie.
know.
I was so upset.
He didn't ride an orca. It was just a Tuma.
I know.
Maybe it was cut out. I don't know. Maybe it was,
I mean,
it was
he
cut
doesn't
out.
need to ride an orca, but still, it would have been badass to see him ride an orca.
I know.
Are you guys following? I think it's Phil Saunders on Instagram. He's posting a lot of like sort of art of like scenes that were cut out. So there's a scene, so he has a lot of cool stuff, and hopefully some of that stuff makes it into like the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray or whatever. But you never know; it could be in there.
You never know. Okay, I'm gonna look out for it.
Yeah,
give me the 4-hour cut. They said.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Yeah, they said the director's cut was like 4 hours, right?
Yeah. So let's take all the Namor scenes, please, and thank you. So that's it. Give me the Namora stuff and Atuma. I want to see more of them. I know they're just like secondary characters compared. It's a big ensemble film, so I understand.
Yeah.
I do, when they were on screen though, they were on screen. Like Atuma was he was fucking raw. Like my friend was just like, when Koi lost her spear and then Atuma kicked it back to her, I was like, that's so dirty. Like he just humiliated her.
No, he said you don't deserve to die by my hand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just love the costumes. She's like Namora's costume, like it's like whenever she's on screen, you're just drawn to her just because her costume is just so really beautiful, and just like the fins and everything on her head.
Ruth, she did a great job in both movies with the costumes. It's like every time I go and I look to try to replicate something she did, you just see all these fine details on everything. It's just like it's very hard to replicate any of her designs. And I'm looking at your cosplay right now, and I'm just wondering, how long did it take you to do all those details?
This whole suit took me 2.5 weeks. It was a lot actually, because I was going to the premiere and I wanted to wear this one. I was like, I could wear my Phoenix 5 Namor, but I want to wear something new. And I love the challenge of the MCU suits, so I made this in 2.5 weeks for it. It nearly killed me because, like, on top of it, I'm working like a full-time job and also going to the gym as well because that's part of the cosplay. And when I got it done, I was like, 11:56 the night before the premiere. So I was really right under the wire, but I'm very proud of it. And I saw the costume at the premiere, and I was like, damn, I kind of nailed this shit. Like,
you did.
At least the shoulders. I couldn't really see the belt. There was no good shot of the belt at that time. So I got to redo that one day. So.
No, I fully expect this to be nominated for an Oscar for the costume.
Oh,
better be.
I mean, I think I love Namor, but I think Atuma's costume is one of the best in the MCU.
The details on that, when you look at the concept art that they're releasing right now, it's crazy.
They said
body tattoos, like he has like these scars in the shape of like shark's teeth.
Well, they said actually that Atuma's design, like he was bitten by a hammerhead shark as a kid, and then he killed it, and now he wears its skull on his head. So I think that was really, really cool, because it also was like something like the comics too, because his helmet in the comics is like the skull of the sea dragon of his people. So I like how they kind of translated that into the movie. So yeah.
How long did it take you to make your headdress, Mighty Morphin cosplay?
I lost track, but it was a couple weeks.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Is that foam?
Yeah, it's all foam. Yeah, except for like there's like right? It's what?
There's feathers there in the back.
Yeah, there's like these the little red feathers are like actual feathers, but everything else, the feathers in the back and everything, those are all made by me with foam.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
Thanks.
So I think that's like I saw that and I was like, holy shit, that's insane. But it's so cool.
But then it only appeared on the screen for 3 minutes.
That's always how it is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they completely change it. Like they changed Namor's shorts
and the belts.
Yeah, I actually met one of the VFX guy who actually did that. Actually, he was at LA Comic Con, and he's saying, yeah, because people were joking about like that it might just be because of the bulge or something. Like no, Marvel saw like the clips of it, and there's like his shorts are kind of boring. Let's change them. Like. So they said that everything was just like his belt and shorts were kind of boring, so they added a design to it. So, which is pretty cool. So the belt's a lot more complicated, that's for sure. Great for us. And the costumes for Wakanda too are just really well done too.
Everything.
Incredible. Big fan.
Love it. Oh, and the other thing that was interesting. Is Ross gonna just live out in Wakanda? You know, hiding from his ex-wife now?
I think he's gonna be part of the Okoye spinoff, right? To me, that makes the most sense, right? Yeah. There's an Okoye spinoff. She goes and she gets him at the end. It's like, he's gonna be somewhere in that.
Ross is also in Secret Invasion. So
okay,
I saw him in the trailer for that the other day. I was like, oh, so we'll see how he gets in there. I don't like Val; she's really annoying. So. Shut up. I always dream of that. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah, I dream of that. Yeah, that was kind of over the top.
They're like Nate Moore was like Nate Moore, not Nate Moore. He said like, yeah, we'll just see if Val is like a villain or a good guy. I was like, she wants to like attack Wakanda. Of course she's a bad guy. She wants to destabilize the government. What are you talking about? Like no one's on her side. At least not yet. So
is there any other thoughts? Favorite quotes? Bald-headed demon, whatever. Anything.
That was funny. Yeah,
that was funny.
Winston Duke did a great job, like with all his lines. I thought he was really funny. He came in eating a carrot. Come on, right?
That was coming off the whole we are vegetarians. Also having a carrot. Yeah.
Favorite quote for me had to be my people call me Ahkukulkan, but my enemies call me Namor. And just watching his like facial expression change in that, I'm like, okay.
He had such swagger in that scene. That was so cool.
Yeah, that was an amazing scene.
The scene that killed me when he was like, what do you say? Bury your dead, mourn your losses. You're a queen now. I was like, he is cold blooded.
Yeah.
I know, like, it's just. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just loved how he had those like crazy eyes in that scene. I was like, this is so cool. Like this is like what I expect from him. He kind of has anger issues, so it was very well done.
At that moment, I was like terrified. I was like, oh, just terrified.
Yeah.
He just killed the queen like that.
Yeah.
He took down Wakanda like that. It was like a 5-minute clip. He took Wakanda as like the biggest forces out without a Black Panther, of course. But.
And I'll mention Angela Bassett did an interview where she was not happy with dying in the movie. She did not like the fact that she died.
I kind of agree with that.
You know what I thought? I thought that they might kind of take her out because Suri needed to have like kind of a coming of age moment. So it's like there's no one else to rely on to step up. Like it's all on you. But I didn't think they were actually going to kill her off. So I thought she'd be in some hospital and like in stasis, and she just needed to do this on her own. So when they actually, because when the bomb blew up in her face and she like saved her, I was like, okay, they have all this technology. They push beads into people and they come back. So I was like, okay, she's not.
Yeah, right.
So when they cut to the funeral scene, I was like, oh. Right, I was like, "Oh, we're just going with this. She's dead." And I was like, "All right." I mean,
so kind of that she was like in a stasis or like in a coma, because at least she has that big issue. Because it's just kind of sad in general. Like you lose T'Challa and then you lose Ramonda,
exactly.
and someone was pointing out in the Avengers Endgame in that one last shot of like with everyone, it shows like Ramonda and Shuri's like. This picture has like a lot more weight to it than it really should have, I don't know. I loved Angela Bassett, so it'd be nice if she could have stayed for a little bit longer. So
yeah, and it's hard because I think like who's going to be in the third movie, and she's one of their strongest actors, right? So, I mean, I just felt like we need another movie for somebody else to transition into that role. And maybe having her bow out in the third movie makes more sense. And we're already dealing with like one major character being lost, so to kill off another one, maybe it's too much for the fans. But I guess they thought differently. And
I thought it was a bit much, but at the same time, it's like I thought it was also. I saw both sides of the coin when I saw it. I saw what they needed to do to get Shuri over the edge, but then also like. It's Angela Bassett,
But I think it really tapped into that last final fight scene where I was saying like it was kind of like gritty and dirty. Like you understood everybody's emotions, and they were like, there was just a lot of anger on both sides. I was like, okay, I get it. Like this is why this fight's getting dirty. Like she's just fed up with everything. She's mad. She's like, I just want to fight.
Yeah. They needed something to push Shuri over the edge, which I don't think it needed to be killer. I know that in the first viewing. I was the only one cheering when Namor came out and did anything. I was screaming and just so excited. But then after, the Queen died, I kind of like shrunk in my seat because I'm like, oh my God, he just killed her, and I like hid. But then the second viewing, I watched it again and I didn't feel so uncomfortable because it's like, well, he didn't target her. She would have survived if she wouldn't have gone back and saved her. I think the technology should have been able to save her, considering that at the final battle scene, she had a spear go through her entire body, and she was fine 5 seconds later. So, it made me very uncomfortable at first, and so I saw like the Wakanda side, but then I saw the other side of it's like, well, she was like collateral damage in the middle of a war when Namor was just trying to, prevent any more damage to his people. So I like Namor Cosplay was saying, like I kind of saw both sides of the coin, but yes, I was very uncomfortable with it the first time around.
Wait, I have one comment though. He did actually kill her because think about it. He threw 3 bombs in her face, so she's probably dead, or like whatever damage she sustained was probably from that. And then the rest of it was her. Yeah.
Well, she was swimming back up, and if she would have swam back up, she would have survived. The problem is, like, she went back down to save Riri.
No, I mean they both floated to the top, right? But I think probably because she was closest to the window and had the bomb blow up in her face, it's probably that's the way I took it.
I was just thinking because maybe her heart was older, so it was not as strong as like Riri's, who's a child. So maybe like you're an older person, you drown, you don't come back as much.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
But sorry.
I feel like if she doesn't die, then who do we expect Shuri to see? You know what I mean? After she takes the herb, heart-shaped herb, I think that would have taken something out of that as well. Like, oh well, we're not going to see the Queen, and we now all expected to see the Queen after that happened, right?
I will say I was had a little bit of expectations from What If, the animated show, because there's that one with Killmonger episode where Ramonda is like in charge of the army. I kind of was expecting her to fight a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just because it's a What If, so it's a different timeline. But I was hoping to see Ramonda take charge like that, but not be the Panther, obviously. But.
Yeah, I was looking to see like a Ramonda fight scene, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not like she's like the Black Panther or anything like that, but to be like, okay, there's nobody left. Like we're gonna fight. Like I'm gonna put my whatever armor on and go to battle.
I also think everything could have been avoided if Shuri just told her mom she was going to Telecon.
She should have called.
Yeah, literally, Okoye got fired. Her mom died. Like, if she said, "Hey, mom, I'm fine. I'm just going to Telecon. I'll be back soon."
The service was bad. You got to blame that AI.
Yeah. You should have just like left a little note on the bridge for Okoye. BRD,
They don't have self-service in Telecon.
No. They're Kamoye beads, so you never know.
They needed their conch, right?
Yeah.
Mom can't talk. Going to an underwater kingdom.
It's not Okoye's fault. It's my fault.
One thing I will say is I thought it was a little bit too easy for Nakia to sneak in and kind of rescue them, though.
Yeah.
I just think that's too. I was like,
it was that easy. I don't know.
Real quick.
And then she got out, and they're in the water, right? She just like kind of. I was like, they can't catch her, but I was like, hey, we'll let it go. Like, where are the guards?
I don't know. Not for, they probably got a little cocky because they didn't think people could find them.
Maybe.
But I guess she was kind of smart. She at least had the Kamoye beads like a tracker, so I guess that helps a little bit. So,
true.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys looking to see in I guess the next version, maybe like MCU movie where they make references to this? What are you guys looking for?
I'm still waiting for the MCU to reference the celestial head in the ocean.
Oh yeah,
It was briefly in She-Hulk, right? There was the thing, the
little like news source, but no one's like, hey, there's a giant head and hands sticking out of the Indian Ocean. Like, let's talk about it for 2 seconds.
There should be like people like literally going there trying to discover things, right? Expeditions and everything.
Exactly.
I'm waiting to see what they're going to do with the whole mutant thing because they obviously brought it up here with Namor, and then they also addressed it at the end of Miss Marvel. So
I think I don't count that because Namor's the first mutant in the comics, so I'm saying he's the first person to physically say I'm a mutant.
I'm a mutant.
Sorry, Kamala, but that doesn't count. No implication. He said, "Hi, I'm a mutant," like blatantly obvious. So he's the first mutant. I'm just doing it because I'm a comic fan, and I'm just trying to be comic in MCU. But yeah,
he is the
what
first
they do with it. Yeah, he is.
Well, hopefully, MCU gets to the mutant soon. So maybe.
Hopefully.
I feel like it's something they're gonna hold on to there so quietly until they're just have something like ready to go.
But the Fox deal says they can't use them until 2025. So
is that really what it's? Well, they can't like announce it or like work on any projects.
I think they can use them, but I don't think they can make any X-Men related films until 2025.
Oh wow!
It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, literally, it's already December, so.
I mean, yeah, it's almost 2023.
Exactly. We'll be so busy with like everything else, so.
They'll give us enough movies to keep us busy.
A little too much, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. That's what I like. They took their time with this movie, and it shows. It really shows.
Yeah. It's very well done.
Did you guys think the second movie was better than the first, or you think it's kind of like something you can't compare?
I like the second one better.
I think I don't think you can compare it.
It's hard, yeah.
Because I love T'Challa and I love T'Challa's journey, and it just like Wakanda is just like. I was thinking about this film in retrospect to the first one. Like the first one's like very bright and colorful, and like this one has a lot of bright colors too, but this one feels a little more darker.
The themes,
like Shuri's lab is very blue and gray, but the first orange and all the other colors. So I think it's a sadder movie, but I also am biased because Namor's in it specifically, so I separate them.
So I've heard people say like question why weren't the Avengers at the funeral, and I feel like to me I don't feel like they belong there. in Wakanda. It felt like a cultural, event thing.
Yeah.
But I've seen so many people question why are the Avengers, and then I'm like, what if also what Avenger do you expect to be there? Bucky is, as from the last movie, they took his arm off and was like, "Gosh damn you!" So I don't expect to see Bucky in Wakanda anytime soon. And it's just I don't even know what other Avenger you would have in that moment.
I feel like the only person who might go there is Captain America, but he's kind
But
of like gone. So he's the only person I felt like out of the Avengers had like a solid relationship.
yeah.
You know what I think? I think when I kind of watch that scene, right? So you go through the whole lab struggles, right? So you're not going to have some Avengers standing around there because it's just a distraction, right? And then you go straight to the funeral scene, right? The private part of the funeral, and I don't think it would make sense to be there because that looked like just family and friends. And then you have the sort of procession, right? And you could argue they could have been somewhere in the back, but everybody's wearing white and blah 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 blah. So you could have done it there, but I don't know if it would have added anything to the scene, right? Because I think they were trying to show this sort of celebration of somebody's life and focus on that, and then move away from it. So I think if you stuck some of these Avengers in there, all they're going to be doing is standing there looking sad.
Yeah.
For the most
Yeah.
part, right? It's not like they're going to go up and like put their hand on the casket or whatever it is, or maybe they're not going to give the Wakandan salute. And I just felt like if they even shot it, it probably got cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they were missing. It
Yeah.
didn't feel like anybody was missing.
I wasn't even
It
thinking
didn't.
about them.
I've just seen people commenting, and I was just like, they really didn't fit in there.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think if you're the director, it just doesn't flow. You could do it, but it's just kind of like just doing it just to do it. So
And the only thing would be like, is like, oh, like,
yeah, exactly.
that's-
But here's the thing: it's a little bit like if you just throw them in there, you already have this somber moment. People are thinking that you're like, oh, there's Iron Man. Oh, there's like so and so or whatever it is, and it's just like it doesn't really flow with the rest of the whole thing because unless
Yeah.
those people were there earlier and you can see that they're upset and they're sad, then you kind of buy them looking sad that moment. But just to pop them in for like literally 20 seconds or less,
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have
Yeah.
flowed right.
Yeah. I don't think it was necessary.
Agreed.
yeah.
Because if you just think about if they did it, how would it work? And then it's just kind of weird.
It wouldn't. Yeah. I agree.
So I think
Sure.
people on the internet just say stuff because it's something.
People just want-
They need something to do.
Exactly.
exactly.
Well, should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Sure.
Very
Getting
good.
kind of hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Me
me too.
same. Well, I'm glad everyone's able to make it. I really appreciate you joining. It was a fun discussion for me. I hope you also had fun.
Mhm.
Did. I'll
Yes,
talk about
thank you
it
so much.
forever, so.
Yeah, it was great meeting all you guys, and I think I'm following you both already. But if not, I'll be following you and liking all your pictures and posts.
All right. Dinner time.
All right. So we all do our own salutes, or Wakanda forever, Leaky Telecom.
I got my crazy like Edward Scissorhands. It's not gonna look so good. It's straighter, man.
That does look really creepy.
I'm just gonna put my hands down. Nod.
Oh, okay. I'm in this.